Hello, 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 and welcome to Vision Defined Women's end of the month celebration. Okay, it's a party over here. So before I get into too much, because I will get super excited, I'll get super excited real quick. I want to introduce myself. I am Amber Mabry, the proud visionary of Vision Defined Women, which is a community focused on helping women bring their visions to life, be intentional, live on purpose, okay? All the things. I am a wife, a mother, an entrepreneur, graphic designer, author, all the things. And for that reason, I created this community for every woman to have a sisterhood, to have that tribe, that place where you can go, be encouraged, be enlightened, be supported, be cheered on. And so if you are new here and you don't know anything about what we're talking about, I want to encourage you to check out Vision Defined Women. And I'm going to put this up here right now, .com, so that you can learn more. This community is for every woman over the age of 30. And I'm going to also real quick screen share something that I think will also help you understand what we mean by community. Okay, so I'm going to pull this up real quick. When we talk about community, we are not talking about a Facebook group, y'all. We are talking about a separate community that we have developed that allows us to connect, collaborate, integrate, right? We do things online. We're actually preparing for our first in-person event. Women, we need a space. Whether you are a mother who's all day dealing with littles, and I have a 5-year-old and a 2-year-old, so I know what that's like. Whether you are a wife just going through life, I know what that's like. If you're an entrepreneur, if you're in ministry, I know what that's like, okay? We are here for you. So before we get into our celebrations, I want you to know that Vision Defined Women, we are here for you. And no matter where you're at, which is why we love technology, no matter where you're at, you can be supported. You can be uplifted. You can get weekly ongoing coaching support. We do workshops in our community. We have prayer calls in our community. We hold you accountable in our community. And that is what makes us special. Okay. So if you want to learn more, again, join in by learning about visiondefinedwomen.com. I'm just quickly going to scroll through so you can see on the inside. And I'm doing this mainly because I've had people say, oh, I thought it was a Facebook group. This is not a Facebook group. We do have a Facebook page, but we need a more intimate private space where we can make it our own. We're making it our own. In our community, we chat. We have different resources available for you. We're very intentional and we want you to be a part. Okay, so I will pause on that. Hopefully after today's conversations and celebrations, you'll even see a little bit more. What do we mean by being intentional, living on purpose? These are some of my catchphrases, some of the things that even in my line of work as a graphic designer and vision coach, I'm often telling people about being intentional, living on purpose, thriving. My personal website is Amber Mabry Thrives. And so words are powerful. Being intentional is powerful, and being connected to a community, the right communities, can be an empowering thing for you. So that's my little infomercial. But we're going to jump right into today's conversations, y'all. We are so excited. Today, as you see scrolling at the bottom of this page, we are focusing on ending the month with a bang. Okay? Some people are sad to see months end. Some people are excited to see months end. We believe if you're living on purpose and intentionally, you can end the month excited. You can end the month, in an uproar because you have been focusing on things. You have been paying attention to how you spend your time, what your goals and intentions are, right? When we don't know where our time is at, when we don't know what we want in our life, whether it be with our health, our marriage, our kids, our finances, our business, or our ministries, then yeah, we're kind of sad to see time leaving, but time is one of the most important resources God has given each and every one of us. So when we are intentional, when we do connect to community, when we measure our time, right? When we number our days, right? We can be excited about the ending of a month. And so today, we are going to have two of our current Vision Define actually exemplify what living on purpose and living intentionally has been like for them just in these last 30 days. Okay? Just in the last 30 days, these ladies been doing some things. Okay, I'm just super hyped, not only as their visionary coach, but in both cases, I actually designed. So I'm a graphic designer, been doing graphic design for over 10 years. I actually was able to be the vision coach, the graphic designer, the support, all the things. And so I'm just excited, kind of like a mom and hen seeing her babies just fly away. Like, I'm maybe not hen, maybe bird. I think it's bird. Let's just say bird. I'm excited to see my babies fly. So without further ado, I am going to bring up my girl, Tanisha Burke-Wormley. This girl, we have known each other for many years, crossed paths in the past, came back full circle. She has a hunger and a heart to do something very unique, and her story will explain it all. I'll let her tell her own story, but for now, I'm going to bring up Miss Tanisha. Welcome, 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 welcome. We are so happy you are here. Can you hear me okay?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you loud and clear. Well, I could just keep going on and on because I am a little hyped tonight for good reason. Because y'all, we all out here executing these intentions and goals. I want you to just go ahead and introduce yourself to the audience, whatever you think they should know about you, and we're going to roll through these questions smoothly. So go for it. Tell us about yourself.
So I am Tanisha Burke-Wormley. I am the founder of Medical Moms of NICU LLC, and I have the pleasure of being blessed with my husband of 7 years, 3 miracles under 6. My oldest was born with chronic kidney disease, stage 5, but he had a kidney transplant of 2 years. But we've been through a lot of medical challenges throughout his first 5 years. And my 2 underneath him were born in the pandemic in 2020 and 2022. And they are my inspiration for creating Medical Moms of NICU. It was a graduate project that I started on to graduate with my master's degree in mass communications, and then became a passion project that God put on my heart to help NICU moms, life after NICU moms, navigate the medical system with ease. And how do we do that? By providing medical mom tips, resources, and medical advice from medical experts. So that has been my mission, and I'm so thankful to collaborate with Amber Mabry. And so that's where I'll pause for now.
Yes. She is, this last month, she done did a lot. I'm going to try to stick to these questions. I do my best, but when I get in interview moments, it kind of goes a little left. So we're going to flow. But go ahead. At the beginning of most months, I like to pop up in our community to say, hey, ladies, what are your intentions for the month? Because again, if we don't know where we're going, there's no way to measure if you're actually making progress to get there. Okay, so we're very intentional to say, what do we want? And I honestly can say for a lot of women, that's our challenge. If that is you, you're not alone. Come on in and let's figure it out together, because not only do we define vision, we refine it, and sometimes we just discover it. So when we go through that, we ask, what are your goals? What are your intentions for the month? Do you remember your 3?
So my 3 intentions for the month was to really be intentional about my time with God and participating in daily prayer calls as much as God would allow me to do. My second intention was to practice for my speech for Denver, Colorado Moments of Joy Fest to help celebrate special needs families across the country. And the third one was to do weekly content on social media for Medical Moms of NICU, as I am rebranding Medical Moms of NICU. So those are my 3.
So of those, what did you accomplish?
So I was able to be present for all 3, with the exception of number 1. There was times where my son was admitted to the hospital, and so that shifted a lot of things around. but I would tap into the prayer call. I would just listen, but normally I lead some songs, may either do a scripture reading, but because I was juggling home life and hospital life, I was not able to participate as much. But I did do my practice run of my presentation.
Mm-hmm.
And so on August 19th, God provided me the opportunity to speak and do my first speaking engagement. It flowed well, even under the circumstances of my oldest son being in the hospital. He was getting well and he was about to be released on the same day. He actually was released on the same day after the event was over. So I'm glad that I went by
Yeah.
faith and not by fear.
Come
So
on. That's
I
a pause right there. She moved by faith and not by fear.
not by fear.
That's a whole
We've
nugget
been
for
here
somebody.
so many times. We've been here so many times. And for those who know my story, my son was in the NICU for 6 months. So we know this life. And so there comes a point where you just have to trust God. And he was getting better. Each day he was getting better. He was getting off of the oxygen little by little by little. So it felt like I had the clearance to go. And even my husband was supportive to go. So when we went to Denver, Colorado, I had all my resources from nonprofits that I wanted to share to the community. I also had my Canva. I never done a Canva presentation. So I put it in the Vision Defined group and was very proud because I've never done Canva. I've always did PowerPoint. So that was a stretch for me. But everything flowed really well. I kept my composure, which was very blessing, especially under the stressful circumstances. But I was also transparent. So that's the event that I'm talking
Yes,
about.
I'm
Most
shining
joy.
on the event. She was at the
Yeah.
event. Go ahead, keep talking about it real quick.
Yes, and I'm proud of my badge. Camilla's like, "You're not gonna take it off." I'm like, "No," because this is like showcasing more speaking events to come, and it did. This is a testimony I wanted to share really quickly, but once I did this speaking engagement, Make-A-Wish Foundation, they revealed to my son that we were going on our family vacation to see San Diego, California. And it was beautiful because we haven't had a trip. We haven't had a trip as a family. And so they wanted me to do another speaking engagement. So I'm just grateful. I'm grateful for the opportunity.
I'm so proud of you, girl. I'm so proud of you. She hit all kind of other goals too, but we're gonna go to the next question. I know you talked about your son, and I know because we've connected, but even while you were going to your first speaking engagement in the last 10 years, like that's a big milestone. And then you were rebranding and doing your thing that way. You came up against some hardships. And a lot of times as women, we can get motivated, but then guess what? Home life happened, and then it's like, hold on, we ain't doing this for this season. So, how did you keep motivated, even when we connected, and you're like, he's in the hospital right now, but my speaking engagement is in a couple days, and I'm going by faith.
Yeah.
Talk to us real quick about how you stayed motivated, and then any other challenges that you faced this month that could have kept you from reaching not only your branding goals and marketing, but you taking on this engagement. We want to hear that.
So I think because I was so fully invested in Moments of Joy Fest months ago, I had already purchased our tickets to go. Me and not my husband, but me and my son, my oldest son in the back, and that's Jamila. But I had already purchased the tickets to go. And so when you purchase and invest in your vision, it's like hard for you to discontinue it. So I was just praying to God that even if my son wasn't able to go in this circumstance, that I would be healthy enough to go. And what really drove me was that I had created a passion project for him, and Amber showcased this. This is the hard copy edition, but for those who are new, I created a children's book, TKO CKD, My Fight to Live, Round 1 for Jaleel, and it empowers chronic illness warriors and champions that you can conquer your chronic illness. It doesn't have to conquer you. So that's what gave me the fuel, is that God put it on my heart to say, go forth and speak, speak, speak. And it was really a blessing because when I got there, I also was getting poured into after having my son in the hospital. So I'm glad that I was able to go and support and be supported. So that's what I would say was my biggest motivation, is to know that it wasn't just me saying that I'm here to present a speech and also make collaborations happen and potential book sales, but I'm here to serve God with what He has given me, encourage others that they can make it through the medical challenges and to pay it forward with the blessings that God has given me, giving resources that can help the community so that we don't have to struggle alone.
So good, so good. So I'm gonna throw in another thing. So even with that, I mean, of course, you know that the project is so much bigger than you, but you've had some hard things hit you in the last 30 days. But yet you've done speaking engagement, you launched your book, you have a new brand that you're pushing out, you're getting sales. Is there any other advice that you could share with any other woman who's like hitting those roadblocks? Life is happening. Her marriage is, going through hell. Let's just call it what it might be. Her kids may be, maybe not medically challenged, but there's some other things going on that keeps her from writing the book or completing the goals that she knows God put in her. And for some seasons, I'll even say this, some seasons it is a sit-down season, right? As moms and wives, we have to be discerning to know that. But what I'm learning, and I know there has to be a push through in us to get things done, because guess what? Like I always say in the community, life ain't stopping for us, y'all. If you're a mom, a wife, a business owner, those responsibilities ain't going nowhere. We can pray about it. We can try to hit the jackpot, whatever your vice might be or your thing, it ain't going nowhere. So can you give us any insight real quick on how to push into purpose is what I like to say. How did you push into purpose, in the midst of all the things?
So I would say pushing into purpose, my process has been years. It took years to get to this place. I started working on this project, Medical Moms in NICU, in 2018 towards 19 when Jalil was born. So I had already started making a community, a Facebook page, and uploading content and sharing Jalil's story because I knew he was going to need a kidney transplant. And so it was baby steps for me. So this is nothing that I just pulled out and pushed out this year. This has been a platform that I've been sowing seeds in since the beginning of 19 for graduation purposes. But I kept going and I kept going, babying it and nurturing it and giving it content on my social media, on Facebook and on Instagram in particular. And I'm so grateful that I nurtured it as much as I could nurture it, because life does happen, especially when you have a family, 3 little ones under 6, life is always happening. But the fact that I had something set up, I can recall even with the author process. The first year, it was all about writing the story. The second year was about the illustrations. The third year was about copywriting and also publishing the book. So I think the real thing is to not get caught up in comparing your journey with other people, because that's what could cause you not to do anything at all.
Comparison, girl, that's a good one. That C word.
and then the biggest thing I would say is I'm so glad I moved, even if it was just a couple steps at a time. So when it was this year in particular, and God blessed me to financially be able to move a little bit faster, I was already ready. But if you don't start when you get the opportunity to move faster, you're gonna miss that opportunity because you have nothing to start off of. One of the things I loved about our collaboration is that you already knew I had content. I just didn't have the opportunity to do it myself. So I outsourced because life is busy and I'm not going to wear every hat.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. So good. So you said don't compare. I'm a bullet point the notes, okay?
Mhm.
Don't compare. Keep moving forward, and that's one of the things I love about in our community. We don't, it's not a place for comparison. I always say your journey is your journey, but the goal is progress. If month after month you're not reaching your intentions, goals, whatever you want to call them, then we kind of have to focus in on what's the root. Why are we not doing this? You know what I mean? But progress, some progress is better than no progress. So very good. And then you also talked about outsourcing. So we're going to jump right into that next. We want to hear about this new brand, this new, you gave us the backdrop of how you got here, having a son who had some medical challenges, all the things you had to go through and learn and are still yet learning, and now coming full circle, wanting to create not just a brand, but a community and with resources, your book and other things. And in the future, you'll have your own event. Yes, I'm prophesying it. You'll have your own event. We'll be coming to your event. Talk to us a little bit about your brand, your business. What should people know about it? And while you're doing that, y'all, I'm going to showcase her brand new website that her and A Pain Designs, moi, was able to create, so that you can see her vision and as she shares a little bit about her business and brand. So take it away and
Give
just
me a pause a minute. Give me
okay. I'm going to still go ahead and show this for so you guys can see it. And then I'll also relay that she has a lot to give. And so even if you don't have a medical situation with your child, if your child has autism or other things, I'm going to encourage that you connect with Tanisha. She will have more things coming up, but I'll go ahead and scroll through her website so that you all can see. And then once she gets her babies in order, she will come back. One of her main focuses on her site or for her brand, and when you say brand, I want to let people know from the design angle, we're not just talking about a logo. Okay, your logo is not your brand. Your logo is a piece of your brand, but her color palettes, her messaging, all of these things we came up with together. And her main goal is that she wants women, not only women, but that is her niche, but women and families to understand that they are not alone as they go through the growing process of figuring out the different things necessary for their children. We did get to connect with one of my illustrator partners with this cute, isn't that cute, y'all? Isn't that not cute? And so as you go to her website, which is medicalmomsofnicu.com, we want you to go ahead and scroll through, leave her some feedback, send her a note, directly or indirectly. But this is her website. We will not go through everything. As she shared the same month, she also was able to successfully complete her book, which is available. So go ahead, click a link. She has options as well as hardcover. And I want to just pause and say this before she jumps back in. I'm a big believer that we have to celebrate ourselves, but we have to, as women, learn how to celebrate others. Okay. So why do I say that? Because one, we can be our worst critic, but number two, when we execute something, ladies, let me come up here on Spotlight so y'all can see my real face. When we execute something, a lot of times we downplay it and we move on to the next thing. If that's you, I'm going to ask you right now, stop doing that. Stand in your moment, stand in your celebration, shine the spotlight on you because you did it. And that's why we're taking time today to acknowledge these ladies. And not only these ladies, I want to say this. We have many other women in the community who have been executing this month as well. And if you in the chat, go ahead, make it known what you've executed this month. And even if you're not in our community, maybe this is the point where we want to see what's something you're excited about having executed this month. It's important to pause for the cause to celebrate you. Because if you don't celebrate you, sometimes no one else will. But in community, we celebrate. So that is, again, the reason why I'm spotlighting Tanisha and being intentional to do this. So go ahead, Tanisha, give us any other things that we should know about medical moms of NICU, and I will put your website up now as you do that.
Yes, I had to take this lipstick off because it was messing with my liners. I said, let me just come up natural.
Oh, you're good, girl. You're good. We understand.
I said, I got lipstick everywhere. But no, this is Medical Moms of NICU. And God put on my heart to summarize, like, what is the vibe for Medical Moms of NICU? It exemplifies resilience. It exemplifies just transparency. I'm going to show you the darkness of medical challenges as well as the joy after the medical challenges are over. And I'm resourceful. There's so many nonprofits. Amber put this together, a resource list of so many nonprofits and just what you need to manage medical mom life. Because what happened, I had 3 degrees, but with my oldest son, I had to get really creative. My husband helped me to do that because he's got a driving spirit of entrepreneurship. And for me, I was nervous about the whole idea. And he was like, you have something great. You could just write children's books and then help NICU moms. And this is a new purpose. This is basic God working within and giving you so much content. And I used to get so aggravated in this process because I'm like, I can't show up like this. I'm not even, fashionable because this life is crazy, right? Mm-hmm. But it's like, that's the brand. That's what resonates with moms that are in this type of situation. We're not always put together.
Come on.
We're vulnerable. Let's be honest. We are falling apart. And so show that. And by showing that, we've been super blessed over the years. If I shut my mouth early on because I was fearful of how are people going to see me, or is my son going to resent me for sharing too much, I had to let that go because all these blessings have flown. And so when it came to designing the website, Amber basically, I told her like the colors that I had originally, and all she really used her creativity and organization skills to put it all together. I love that she kept my integrity of the brand as much as I could, because I was using a picture of me and my husband and our family at the time of 3, and she kept the logo just like that. I just added the stethoscope, but it was just I wanted people to see like, that's Jalil, that's Tanisha. And realistically, what the site also symbolizes is that I am in a place where I can give hope in a hopeless situation. And I thank God for that. And this is just an ad-lib moment, Amber, so just bear with me. But yesterday I took my son to the hospital for medical clearance because we are going on a Make-A-Wish trip tomorrow. So continue to pray. If y'all are watching this, pray for us as we get ready to go to sunny San Diego for my oldest son to enjoy Sesame Place. He loves Elmo. And we'll also be hitting up Legoland as well as Safari Park. But I wanted to say that when we went to the medical clearance, I presented the book to the medical team and I wanted them to support it, and they will. But they said that there was another couple, another family, a mom that was similar to my experience with Jalil, and she was really having a hard time. She was struggling with her baby throwing up and vomiting a lot, and he's supposed to eventually need dialysis. Now this baby is probably less than 8 months old. So when I seen him, I originally went back to the old me when I was in 2018, and it's so good to be in a space where I could provide hope. to this mom. And so we were able to exchange numbers, and I was able to give her a free copy of Jaleel's book to just provide hope. And I'm just thankful because God gave me these experiences because he knew that this moment would happen and I would be ready to say, hey, I've been where you are at right now. But let me tell you that it gets better. And that's the blessing of
so good.
you know, if I didn't experience those experiences, I wouldn't have anything to share or pour into her. So I'm thankful because that moment really signified that it is bigger than me.
Wow. So good. Oh my goodness. And I actually heard something, I think it was today, that said the things we go through is because God has a bigger plan. So even the challenges and the hardships that we face, we're seeing the here and now. We're not seeing the big picture. So when I hear you, it's like now on this side, you can see, wow, if I didn't go through X, Y, and Z, I wouldn't have anything to pour into her from a heart place. We can speak from the head or from our lips, but you have experienced enough that you're able to give resource and counsel from a heart place. And I think that's powerful. I think that is also why I'm at this back when people use your services. So again, shameless plug, we shine on one another tonight. Okay. Community that's going to shine on you, come join us. She has so much energy and effort into this. She has services. And so if you or somebody you know, because another thing I'm always saying is it's better to know your resources before you need them than to need them and not know where to go or just lounging around finding something. So keep your ear out for what we're talking about, not just for you, but just future. If you know someone who needs someone who gets it, right? Someone who's been down a journey similar to Tanisha's, reach out to her. You want to talk real quick about your services, and then we're going to ask one last question before we go into our next guest.
Yes, so my services include consultation. So basically, you have that free 15-minute grant, and that could just be a medical mom question, just one or two questions. I say we talk a lot as moms, so probably one question would probably be feasible. But, if you want to go deeper, then I have a package of 30 minutes, 60 minutes, and 90 minutes, and these all entail the NICU stay, the discharge process, also coming home with baby, how to manage it all and still take care of you. Now, I'm going to be transparent. For the last 4 years, I was not taking good care of myself. I was giving all my energy towards my family, that I was falling apart. And so this is coming from a place that I didn't have it all together, but I'm here to really be of support because now I am starting to pour back into myself, and I can give rather than on empty. I can give with the overflow. And so these packages are really just to suit your needs, whether it's 15 minutes, I just need you to answer this question for me. 30 minutes, 60 minutes, 90 minutes, let's go deeper. And I also welcome speaking engagement opportunities for any nonprofits or special needs events and book events, because this is just as bigger than me. And I know that people want to be encouraged, especially after. And so I'm just really excited for what God is doing. I did like 3 engagements back to back this month. And I was like, wow, God has opened up door after door after door. And for those who just need encouragement, I am going to be relaunching my podcast, but you can go on the website. Amber did a great job of showcasing the 19 episodes that I did last year up until March. And so there's so much work to be done. And what I really love about the website is that it's not going to be about me. I'm going to be inviting medical experts. I'm going to be inviting NICU moms. I'm going to be inviting people like Amber who are driven, dreamers, visionary women that can be on the podcast. Because I want us to know that the pain that we're going through is for a purpose. And I want to help you get there. And so as soon as the website launched, there was a couple of prospective clients that saw the website and like, hey, let me holler at her, because I'm not going to hold my goodie box. I'm not. That's just not how I operate. So if I see that you are struggling with branding, you're trying to find yourself again as a mom, as a wife, this is who designed my site. So pay it forward.
I love it. We have the same heart, sis. We have the same heart. This is the last question. This has been so good. Throw up some love to Tanisha in the chat as she finishes this last question. What's something you will tell another woman who's contemplating executing her goals, but she's just stuck for whatever reason? What's a few last little, real quick pieces of advice for her?
Okay, so I don't know. I might do something here real quick. Bear with me, but you see this?
Get scheduled.
Scheduled, because it really helps, and it'll help your confidence. What I love is I can jot things down on that calendar, and some will get done, some won't. But it's a reference that I can go back to and say, I did this, X, Y, Z. This still needs to get done. So I think when you're stuck in your head, you need to put it on paper.
Put it on paper. Man, you my girl. I'm so proud of you. You just wrapped it up with a bow.
Yes. Put it on paper so that it can manifest.
It happens. I've just today said everything I write down happens.
It does.
And for the most part, it does. And one thing I'm learning is whatever I don't complete, it wasn't for that day. But I don't have to feel no kind of way. It's for another day. So thank you so much for your time. Y'all give it up to Tanisha. Again, if you want to reach out to her, medicalmomsofnicu.com. She got all the goods. And you can also come on into the visiondefinedwoman.com community. And we'll be here. She'll be there too. So thank you so much. Thank you so much. This has been amazing. Great job. And so what we're going to do next, y'all, she done gave y'all a lot of gems. Hopefully you're taking notes. And if not, the replay will be available. Okay. And I'm just saying, some of us probably should watch the replay. What we're going to do next is roll into our next beautiful woman who's also been executing some goals. As we end this month, we're shining on her as well in our celebration session today. Her name is Kimberly. Me and Kimberly came through each other's paths by the way of the World Wide Web, aka the internet. Bless God for technology. She connected with me actually through my graphic design business. So we connected on there, but our hearts and our focuses and our desires and passions for women was so similar that after I connected with her, I was like, I don't know if you're interested, but I have a community that I think you might like. Check this out. And so here she is today, full circle. Her heart is huge on empowering women to grow their relationships with God, live intentional, all the things. I'm not going to share her story, but we're going to welcome Miss Kimberly to the stage. Welcome.
Hey, everyone. Hey, sis.
Hey, thank you so much for being here and spotlighting just all the things, not even just the current things, but just life in general. She got a lot of wisdom, y'all. So I don't want to ramble. We're going to have you jump right in and just share with the people, anything you like them to know about you. And then we'll go through our questions.
Okay, awesome. So I'm just gonna start with, just a little of my testimony and a little bit about me. I grew up in the church, Kojic Church of God in Christ. So I grew up a church girl. But then, I ended up getting pregnant at a young age. So I got pregnant in high school, had my first child at the age of 18. And then I made a decision, later on in life to, after going through a lot of other things, because I can give testimony for days on just different things in my life. But when I finally made a decision to follow Christ, to, get my life together, I had gotten married, and I was like, I'm tired of, doing things the world's way. Finally, decided to get my life together. I was pursuing school when I first got pregnant, I was pursuing school. I went to school, but then I had stopped because life happened. I was doing other things. And when I got married, though, I was working at this point. I had 3 children. And I didn't really see, I kind of lost sight of the vision that I had in finishing school and getting a degree. So God had blessed me to actually go back to school and finish my bachelor's degree. I had a goal to do it before my oldest daughter had graduated high school. So I did that. I was able to go back and get my bachelor's degree. And I was so excited for that and grateful to God that he, kept his promise, because I know it was something that I was supposed to do, but I had lost sight of a lot of things. It was like, oh, it just probably would never happen. And I just let it go. But then I was also blessed to go further than that and to get my master's degree. I couldn't believe that, God had brought me to that point, because I didn't see myself going any further with anything else. But I got my master's degree in human services, life coaching. And now I'm in school, actually pursuing a doctorate degree. So I'm going even further because God has given me the vision to do it. So he's just blowing my mind with my schooling, because like I said, I just got to a point where life was happening, life was lifing, and I just didn't see any way, that I was going to be able to get a degree. But I went to get my master's in human services life coaching because God had gave me the passion for helping women and for pouring into women, because of all of my life experiences, everything that I've been through. God had just gave me just this passion to pour into women, to love on them, to give them support, because we all go through things. I actually like to say grow through things now, because whatever it is, we're growing through it. We're learning from it, and we're keeping it moving. But he allowed me to just have this passion. So that's why I went back and got my master's in that. Which of course we'll talk about, a little bit later, where the business came into play with all of that. But I've just been through, I would say, so much in life. I had a great foundation. I was raised by a single mom, but I had a great foundation because my mom kept us in church, so I learned a lot. And when I decided, right, because we all have to decide for ourselves and make a decision to, when we're ready to follow Christ, when we're ready to love God more than anything and accept Jesus as our personal savior. When we do that and surrender to him, great things happen. So he's just brought me through so many things that's gotten me to the point where I'm now. So that's just a little, it's so much in all of that, but that's just a little bit about me and who I am. I think you're on mute, sis. There you go.
You hear me now?
Yes.
I was saying that was so good, and I was going to go down a different pathway, but we're going to stay here. So I'm going to ask you off the cuff question. Since you've been a part of Vision Defined for maybe a month or so, what's one of the top things you enjoy most?
I think, first of all, I love the prayer days. To be honest, so we were having prayer because that got me back on track, because, I pray, often and all the time, but that got me kind of in a schedule and set, for a day, and just doing it more often, like making more time in the morning and not rushing, to get it in wherever I can fit it in. So waking up earlier, right, to prepare myself to be able to, because we can do it. We just don't sometimes. But I'm like, I need to set an alarm to get up earlier so that I can be ready, so that I can get on the prayer call. But that just got me to a place where, I was doing it even more often throughout my week as well, just making sure I'm not. Sometimes we're just rushing and we just fit God in wherever. And it's like, no, we should give him more than that. He deserves more than that. So being intentional about my time with God and giving him more than just, 5 minutes here or 10 minutes there. So I love that. I also love just the aspect of talking to other women, seeing their testimonies. You motivate us, you motivate me. So I just love that community. Just knowing you have a community of women is important to have that support. And I love that about the group.
I appreciate that feedback. Thank you. And so on that note, like I said with Tanisha, in the community throughout, what is your goals and your intentions for the month? Tell us what were yours, and then you can roll into what you accomplished.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, so I knew by the end of this month, I definitely wanted to launch my business. Um, I used to be a really heavy planner, right? With like every little detail planned out, but like also not leaving any room for God to do what he wants to do, because he doesn't give us
Come
every
on.
single detail. So
That
now
part,
I'm a
that
little,
part.
I'm a little more relaxed with my planning. We're like, okay, if this doesn't go the way I maybe thought it would, it's okay, because that God's plan is going to happen because I surrender everything to him. I gave him my yes. So when you asked us about the goals as well, it was really like, I just want to follow whatever God has for me to follow through the month and do whatever he does, because he doesn't always give it to me at one point, but throughout the month, just giving me different things. The biggest thing though was to be able to launch my business and to launch the website, which I was able to do. I was able to launch Bloom Life Coaching and Mentoring. You created a beautiful, beautiful website that was everything that I could have imagined for the business. So I'm so grateful for that. But that was the goal. But I know God had other things, in mind that I didn't even know about. So that's why I say, well, sometimes we can plan too much and not
Yeah.
leave room for God. And now that I stopped doing that, I'm just allowing God to do whatever he wants. Every morning, I literally just wake up and like, God, what do you want me to do today? What do you want me to know? What do you want me to give? What do you want me to operate in? What do you want me to not do, to not say, right? What no's do you want me to give?
That part.
Sometimes we do too much. But he also blessed me to start. So a goal that, I didn't know was a goal, but I started my teaching journey for college as well. So I'm an instructor now. So I'm really excited about that. I just started this week teaching my first class. So that's awesome. I mean, the thing is, I talk about my education journey, and when I first started my education journey, I was actually going to school to be a teacher. And some things fell through, life happened. Like I said, I was kind of veered off path and was doing a lot of other things, having children. And I was like, this probably isn't going to happen. I really didn't want to teach, middle school anymore, but I always just had a passion for teaching and explaining things to people and helping people. So I never really saw this coming. And not coming now. So, it's definitely a blessing that's something else that, God allowed me to check off the box.
She doing her teacher thing. She launching businesses. She got 4 kids, y'all. She don't look like it. Tell them your kids' ages, because when she saw the picture, I was like, no, she got somebody else's kids out here. She looked just like a kid with the kids. How old is the kid?
Yeah, so I have a 19-year-old, a 16-year-old, 15-year-old, and an 11-year-old.
Unbelievable.
2 girls, 2 boys.
Let's bottle up your youth and let's make that a business, okay? We have a conversation for another day. Looking good and doing it all. So let's talk about your challenges, because like I just said, like when you see people execute, and I can even use myself as an example, as a mom and a wife, people like, how you doing all these things? I'm not doing all these things on one day, but I am intentional. What I loved about what you just shared, which I'm also learning, is learning to lean into the Holy Spirit in my life. Mm-hmm. I am a planner. I am a go-getter. I am ambitious, Amber, all the things, but we really do have to learn to lean into, okay, Lord, is this for now? Is this for another season? That's why I personally write everything down. I have boards on, I have something on every wall in this room, in my little office. So write the vision, be intentional about it, but also be discerning to know what's for now and what's for later. So talk to us even on that, spin off of that in regard to what's some challenges that you faced that could have kept you from taking the teaching position, completing your launch of your new business, anything on that?
I would say the biggest challenge was my lack of confidence in who I was in God. Because, before I had a relationship or decided to have a relationship with God, I would say I was someone who just wanted to fit in. I wanted to fit in. I wanted to have friends. I wanted, so I just followed. I wasn't being a leader. I was being a follower. But as I began my journey and my relationship with God, and that began to grow, God will give you this, I like to say Godfidence, but this confidence in him and who he is. And then he'll allow you to see, like, this is who you are in me as well. So as I began to do that, because my challenge before was I wouldn't do certain things that I felt led to do, because I was like, who am I? And that's something that's on my website, it says like, who is she? But I'd be like, who am I to do this? Am I qualified to do this? Like, what are people going to say because I don't have this, this, and this? And it's like, we have to get to a point where we're so close and connected to God that we understand that he has a purpose and plan for us, and he's qualified us to do it. He's going to give us all the tools and all the things necessary, and we don't have to worry about what the world is saying, we should have or we shouldn't have or whatever else. God qualifies us, and he's going to give us everything we need, because whatever he's birthing in us is for his glory anyways. It's not for us personally, it's for him. So he'll give us everything that we need for the journey. So I had to get to a place where I was really connected and close with God, where I understood that, where I could be fearless and say, it doesn't matter what other people are going to think, because I'm not doing this for other people necessarily. I'm doing this with the mindset of, I have an audience of one, it's God, and I'm doing this to please him. So when I got to that point, it became a lot easier for me, like even just the going back to school, right? Because for the longest time, I'm like, I can't do this. This isn't going to happen. I don't have the time. Like, I'm working. I have 4 kids. I'm married. Like, how can I do school? So when I first went back to school, I was going full time too. I only had a semester left to finish my bachelor's. So I took 5 courses online. I would come home from work every day, get on there, do my courses, get it done, because I had this confidence in God, knowing that he has a purpose and plan. And as long as I take the steps that he's telling me to take, then I'm going to be victorious. The only way I cannot succeed is if I don't take the steps. So that's what God has showed me in everything. So now it's like, God, if you're saying this is going to happen, I'm just going to do my part, because I know you've already done yours. So, any obstacles or things that come my way now, I'm like, I talk to God about it, and I ask him, what's my part and what's my role in it? And I'm determined to get it done.
Wow. And when we don't need to do it, we leave it alone, right?
Right. Yes.
You said something, or I think it was you or Tanisha saying no.
Yeah.
No is a power word, y'all.
Yeah.
No is a power word. No is a whole sentence. Women, we're challenged. Yes. So I'm throwing that's a nugget for somebody. If it's for you, catch it. Put it in your pocket, okay?
Because you know what? Something we do as women and as Christian women, right? Or people who are believers, whatever you want to label, you want to put out there. We think that because we are believers, we should say yes to everyone. We should help everyone. And it's like, no, you are not God. You are a child of God. You're not God, though. And you don't have the capacity to do everything. You just don't. So we have to know when to say no.
Boundaries.
Yes.
Boundaries. I'll be honest and say I didn't learn boundaries until I had kids and a business and a husband. Depending on what season you're in, you may have not learned that lesson yet. Yes. But I would imagine if you're 30 plus on here, you got something going on. Boundaries are your friend, okay?
Yes, they are.
Next question. Go ahead and tell us about this beautiful business that you have, that you're launching. She'sblooming.com is the website. I'm going to do like I did with Tanisha and kind of scroll through the page. But tell us the passion behind it, anything people should know, all the things. I'm going to go off screen so that you can kind of tell us everything. Okay. And I'll show this in a moment.
Awesome. Okay. So in 2014, at my house, I got a group of women together, some of my friends who the thing we had in common was we were trying to, live a life for God. We were trying to do this walk with Jesus as our personal savior. So I gathered them at my house because like I said, God had just gave me this passion at this point to just get women together so we can support each other, because I didn't have like a lot of friends once I did decide to do this walk with Christ. Like a lot of things I just had to cut off because I needed to focus on my relationship with Christ. I didn't want even a little bit of the things that I used to do. Like I had to be fully consumed and focused on growing my relationship with Christ. So a lot of some friendships just fell off because we didn't really have anything in common, anymore. We weren't doing the same things. So I got this group of women together because I wanted to have some friends, some people I can talk to that were going through some of the same things that I was going through. And that's kind of where I would say the fire was like lit. And I knew that somewhere in my future, I didn't see everything yet. God did give me all the pieces, but somewhere in my future, I was going to do something with women. Like that was now my passion, just to pour into women, because of all the things that I went through. And I went through a period where when I was in my relationship with Christ and starting and growing in that, I didn't have a lot of people that I knew. It was lonely, at times, because there wasn't other women that I could talk to about different things. So back then that's, I had that. And then it took a couple years after that to where I hosted my first event for women. And again, the one thing we had in common was, do you love Jesus? Are you trying to do this walk with him? Then let's gather together, because everything I do is rooted in Christ. So if we don't at least have that in common, then the things that we talk about, what we go through and how I try to encourage and motivate you, it's not going to stick. It's not going to mean anything. So we at least had that in common. And when I had that event, I just wanted the women to come together and get away from the daily life activities, the roles that we played, just to come together to laugh, to connect with other women, to let their guards down. And it was a great event. I actually had it at a Holiday Inn and a meeting room there. And when I have these events too, I don't like for the women to have to come and feel like it's a burden to come. So they're actually free events. I usually have a food component, we play some games, we'll talk and do other things. But that's what we did at the first event. And it was awesome. The pictures that you're showing now is from my first Columbus event that I had on my birthday, because I moved to the Columbus, Ohio area, and I had my first event here. Which was awesome. Women got together, we played games, we just laughed, just had a good time. But it's really just because as women, we just do so much. We take on so much. And sometimes we just need to pause, take a moment, and spend some time with our sisters and, laugh, cry, do whatever it is, that God calls for us to do to get through all of the things that we're going through, to have some relief. So that's why I have the events. And then the business aspect of it as well. I do have the life coaching and the mentoring, because that's something that I feel like God has just given me the tools that I need just to pour into other women, to really help them, encourage them to listen to God's voice in all things. Because again, I always mention, I don't have all the answers, but God does. And together, we can bombard heaven and seek God for what's next in their lives, to make sure they're following his plan so that they can succeed in all things.
Love the heart, love the message. So glad to partner with you in designing and being a part of bringing your visions to life. Love doing that too. Any other advice that you can share with women regarding, just like I was asking Tanisha, and let me go back to that, if they feel stuck, like you said, even with what you're creating and why you create, the passion behind it is like, hey, we do a lot, women. Let's come together. We have these commonalities. Let's have a safe space to be able to bond, to share, to grow. Anything that you can share in regards to women who are stuck, but they want to produce something like maybe what you produced or something different. Any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I could say when you're stuck, usually it's best to just take a moment to pause and really self-assess, where you are, why are you wanting to do things? Because honestly, if your reasoning for why you're wanting to do whatever it is you want to do is just about you, or anything but for God to get the glory out of what you're doing, then you're not going to have the results that you want, and you're going to get stuck most likely. But when you really put God first and everything, when you really love God more than anything, you're going to want to please him. You're going to want to find out what is your purpose for being on this earth, and you're going to want to fulfill that, and God will help you do that. But the first thing is just to make sure you have a solid foundation and relationship with Christ. Like, that literally is the biggest thing, because faith will get you through whatever it is. Faith, hope, those things will get you through. They'll motivate you. But if you don't have that relationship, it's so easy for the enemy to creep in and to get into your mind. There's so many distractions and things like that in the world today. So, if you don't have those strong roots, the enemy's going to creep in any way that he can to knock you off track and to have you thinking that you can't do it, or have you thinking that, like, who are you? Like I said, I was thinking when I didn't have that confidence. So you really have to be connected to the source at the end of the day, so he can give you the strength to keep going, because obstacles will come. Things, the enemy's going to do his job. He's going to try to fight against you accomplishing your goals. He comes to steal, kill, and destroy. So he's not going to stop doing that. But we have to make sure we're doing our job. And that's making sure first we're connected to the source. And once we're connected to the source, God, he gives us every tool that we need to succeed and to keep going.
So good. I got another bonus question just came to mind. We're going to wrap up. How do you stay strong in your faith in God when life gets hard? Like, you know firsthand.
Mm-hmm.
Let me just throw it up here this way. Firsthand, having been a wife, mother of four, going to school and teaching, that it gets hard. And it, honestly, if we're honest, it gets hard a lot more than it gets easy. Okay.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And I know the blessings of life, but we don't want the responsibilities that go with them. You can't have the blessings without the responsibilities, right?
Yeah.
What would you say to someone who's like, girl, I hear you on this God thing, I hear you on this, faith and all that. How do I stay in this? How do I keep growing in my faith when life just is throwing me blows? Give us some thoughts on that.
Yes. So you really have to be intentional about making time for God. Like, you have to spend time with him. You can't, it's not enough. We're in the world so much, right? There's so much going on. We're working, we're doing, so many things. But if you don't really spend intentional time, so not a quick, I looked at the Bible verse of the day, like, and I read that, I'm good. I prayed, said a little quick prayer, read my verse of the day, I'm good. I literally am constantly, my mindset now is to a place where I'm constantly always thinking of, how does God feel about this? Like, God, what do you think about this situation? I pray a lot. I talk to God a lot. And, reading your word, the things that you allow yourself to listen to view, all of those things. I'm constantly listening to music that's going to draw me closer to God, that's going to uplift me. Those things are important too, because the enemy, like I said, he'll creep in wherever he can. So it's really getting to a place where your lifestyle is really showing that you're serious about, like, you love God more than anything, and you're denying your flesh, maybe of some things that may feel good or whatever else it is. But if you're really intentional about your journey, like, you got to do away with some of the other things that aren't needed and really just consume yourself in the things of God. Because I think, what's going on now these days with people's mental state, right? God says, like, he wants to renew our mind. So that's the thing that the enemy is working the hardest on. So if we're constantly having all of these things in our mind, consuming our minds, whether it's the music that we listen to, the things that we're watching, the conversations that we're having, the people that we're around, if they're always speaking negativity or whatever that may be, we got to learn learn when to cut things off, and when things are not pushing us closer to Christ or closer to God. So I think I'm constantly, like when I'm in the car and then other things, I'm constantly listening to this music that is uplifting my spirit and speaking life into me. Like we need that. When you really get serious, because sometimes people say they're serious, but they're not willing to give up certain things. And if you're not willing to give up certain things, then you might not be as serious as you think you are, because He's going to require us to give up some things. But the blessing is when we give those things up, He's going to bless us with something so much greater than we can imagine. And I say all the time, one of the things I remember when I was a child in the church, the saints used to always testify about having a sound mind. That's one of the biggest things that I value these days, because it's so much going on and it's so easy for our mind to slip into a dark place. So I'm making sure my mind is being consumed with God's word, God's promises, positive thoughts and mindsets. I know you're big on affirmations and things like that as well. And even in our group, we have the affirmation section. Like, we need to consume ourselves in these things, because the world is always there and we're always walking around in it. But are we making sure, that we are intentional about consuming ourselves in God's word, His promises, and just taking care of our mind, our mental.
Yeah, so good. Man, so many nuggets up in here. So many. I am going to drop this because you just said it. Affirmations are very, very important. And so, like she said, in our community, we do have constant affirmations that if you just jump on there in the morning and pick one and decide this is what I'm chewing on today, we are affirming the mind is so important. I mean, you nailed it. There's so much hitting us, so much bombarding us. So I'm so with you. Any final thoughts? And I'm going to let you come up, Tanisha. We're going to wrap up this way. Ladies, any final thoughts, inspiration, encouragement that you just feel, and it don't have to be on script, but just anything on your heart. We never know. And what I love about technology is that it goes wide. You never know where this might end, and you never know who needs this right now. One of the things I'm really learning is, like you said, Tanisha, it's not about us. So even me pushing forward to bring Vision Defined Women to life over the last several years, it's not about me. But when we move forward, our yes, it's like a ripple effect. It affects other people. So in the same way, this video today, this conversation today is not just about me, Tanisha, and Kimberly, but God is using us and allowing the experiences that we have had to exemplify living on purpose, believing, persevering, moving forward, all the things we need as women. And so I want to end with you guys, you ladies, rather, just sharing anything else that we haven't shared or you just feel somebody might need to hear. I'm just going to leave the floor open and take this down. And I just want you to feel free to share anything that is just left in your well, so to speak, if any.
I'll say, and one thing I usually forget to mention, I have 3 books as well. So I am an author. And one of my books talks about God-defined sisterhood, right? It's important to surround yourself with other women who love God as well. Like, we need support. We need each other. In the world today, there's so much pettiness. There's so many things to divide us. Like, pettiness is like something that's trending now. Like, and the world, of course, thinks that's cute. But I look at that and I'm like, that's, we're supposed to be uplifting each other and supporting each other. So it's really important to have a strong group of women around you that can, when you can't uplift yourself, they're going to be there and they're solid. They're not wishy-washy, but they'll be there to help you on your journey as well. And you are there to help them and pour into them as well.
So Kimberly took the words out of my mouth. I was going to say accountability. A lot of the goals that I have, I need the accountability to execute those goals, and particularly when it's like-mindedness. Like, you want to be around people that believe in God, believe that it's about His kingdom, and what I'm doing is for the advancement of His kingdom. And so Accountability is a must, like with every goal, whether it's spiritual, whether it's physical, whether it's mental, emotional. Right now, I'm in counseling, grief counseling, mourning my death of my father and my aunt, and that's helping me heal. I think, a lot of times we close ourselves off from resources thinking we can do it on our own. And I feel like I'm grateful for different communities. I mean, even a community for couples, because in this journey, it can be traumatic in your relationship. Statistically, I think it's 89% of people that are like parents that are raising a special needs child. The statistic is divorce, 89%. So it's very important to tap into community with married couples, 10, 20, 30, 40 years of marriage. This community has helped me to also realize that we have the same struggles. We have victories and then we have struggles, and we are multifaceted. So I'm grateful for what you've created, Amber. I'm thankful that you are proactive with time management. That is something that I wanted to strive to get better at. Even though I do quite a good job at doing a lot of things, I still need that structure, that accountability to say, hey, what are you doing this month? What are your goals? Every month she's like, what are your goals? What are your goals? And then she'll give you activities to finish these worksheets so that you're in motion, because a lot of times we're in our heads. So I would just say that. And then the last thing, I feel like I was telling a sister, because a lot of people are seeing this year and how powerful it has been for me. But I feel like God has shown me like this is a spiritual journey. This is a spiritual journey. So every day you gotta be conscious of what you're putting out. How are people seeing me? Are they even seeing Christ in my life? Because some people don't read the Bible. So really taking the time to say, what do you want me to do, God? Because there's someone who needs to see you. There's someone who needs to see you. And if I was to pass, because I've had death in my family, I'm looking at things a little bit more differently than I did before. And even if you don't have losses like I have, you've been to funerals. So it causes you to think, wow, if this was my last day, how would people view me on this earth? And I've taken that as a spiritual motivation to be more intentional with what I'm entertaining, like Kimberly said, what I'm listening to, what I'm taking in. And so I'm just appreciative that each month in the community of Vision Defined, we can always change our goals, whether it's spiritual, whether it's motherhood, whether it's I need to nurture my marriage, I need to nurture my health. It's not a judgment thing. We're all winning in different areas of our life. So I'm appreciative of what you created.
Very good. Well, I appreciate each of you ladies and just for being here. I'm going to end on this note because they have said everything, but I have a little surprise to share. So what I'm going to do is pop this up real quick and remind you ladies that you must prioritize you. That is one of the key things we talk about in this community. And I sound the alarm all the time because I'm learning this firsthand. So our community objectives are very simple. You've heard it today. We juggle so much. We just simply want to remind us to prioritize ourselves. Number one is our goal. Number two is we want to help you get organized. Be intentional, right? About your spirit, just like Tanisha just said, health, spirit, spiritual goals, marriage goals, whatever God's put in your heart, to get it out. And Tanisha, you just wrapped it up perfectly, because I know me too. I'm always talking about, I want to go to my grave empty. That means we have to be intentional. People who you see got books and businesses and ministries, that didn't just happen by osmosis or just them thinking it. They had to put some time in, they had to be intentional, and they had to learn to be accountable. So that's what we're here for, as well as we're here to create a safe place for dialogue. We need one another. So I am shamelessly letting you know that is the heart of the Vision Defined Women community. And I want to leave on one note. We are going to have our first in-person social, y'all. It's our first in-person social. The goal is, even though we are online, our community is online on purpose because we do want to be everywhere, right? We don't want that to be a limitation. If you're in California, you can still participate. However, we know how important it is to get in person together. And so I'm going to end by just letting you guys know we are planning our first in-person social. It will be a week from this Friday. So short turnaround. It is a small, intimate setting. And it's so funny because when I started Vision Defined Vision Defined a while back, the goal was to have these small in-person sessions. And so it's kind of coming full circle. But the goal is that every other month or so, we will have a moment to pause for the cause, come together, network, share, and grow in person. And so I am encouraging everybody to check out the link here, tinyurl.com/V.D.W Social 1. This will be on our social media platforms. We only are allowing 25 women to participate. We want it to be small and intimate on purpose. So if you miss out, what will happen is when we have the next one, you'll have an opportunity, and when they're gone, the seats are gone, they're gone. So I'm excited that we're finally having this, and we hope that whoever can come. It's free. There's no charge. You do just need to register. If you're in Columbus, Ohio, I'm going to repeat that. You do need to register. There will be food, fun, fellowship, networking, and all the other Vision Defined and Amber shenanigans you can think of. Okay? I am going to end this out by saying thank you so much to Tanisha again, and to Miss Kimberly for bringing all the gems. Thanks for being a part of the Vision Defined Women community, and we will be back again really soon. So stay tuned. Have a blessed rest of your evening. Bye-bye.